MMA, mixed martial arts. MMA. Happy birthday, Alex.
No,
Woo!
no.
It was his birthday last week on Between the Links. Come on now.
Oh, weird.
That's canon. That's my canon birthday.
There it is. Happy birthday, Alex. A lot of love for one half of the first semifinal matchup for the BTL Championship Tournament. As we are just moments away from UFC Vegas 42 going down at the Apex in Las Vegas. The main event is a good one between Max Holloway, the former UFC featherweight champion. A lot of people feel he is the #1 featherweight in the world, even above Alexander Volkanovski, but it's a good argument to have. He will take on Yair Rodriguez, and we're here to talk with all of you, answer your questions, get your thoughts on this card that is kicking off in about 28 minutes from right now. I am Mike Heck. Back with us, the Prince of Positivity, Mr. Alexander K. Lee, the aforementioned AK. How are you, buddy?
Hello, everyone. I am Sans Professional Microphone today. It is a long story. Hopefully, back to top quality audio soon enough. But I'm very happy to be here. And thank you, everyone who's been sending me messages about the Between the Links video victory. They're very rare for me. The stakes are very high this time, and I'm very excited to be facing Phoenix Carnivale sometime in the next few weeks. So pray for me, guys. Pray for me.
And what a matchup that will be. And on the ones and twos, the baddest stash in MMA media, Casey Leydon. Good morning, Casey. 9:30 a.m. where you're at? 9:33?
Something like that, yeah. Got my coffee, it's great. I love it. Morning fights, more morning fights. I like my violence early in the morning.
There were lots of fights last night, more fights today. Let's go to the peeps and see what they have to say.
Straight to
I didn't mean to rhyme. It was an accident, but I'll go with it.
Bars on this guy.
Bars.
Anybody want a peanut? Is that
Little Andre the Giant. All right. little Princess Bride.
All right, here we go.
Off the rails already. Here we go. Matt Maggio, how is Calvillo versus Lee not the co-main? It's definitely the second best fight on the card. It is a good one. I'm not going to go out and say it's the second best fight on the card. I mean, rankings-wise, perhaps, but I think the people's main event is obviously in the welterweight division. But AK, let me start with you. We talked about this a little bit in the preview show yesterday. What are your thoughts on the placement of this fight? Because it seems like looking at this card top to bottom, this is, in terms of rankings and meritocracy, this is one of the better matchups on the whole card.
This is an odd one, the placement. I don't understand why this isn't on the main card. Cinta Calvillo is one of the only other fighters ranked in the MMA fighting global rankings, which the UFC obviously and ESPN obviously should take into account when they're doing their schedule. But other than that, outside of Holloway and Rodriguez, it's just Calvillo. Andrew Lee probably in the top, just outside the top 15. I don't know why you would have the Felicia Spencer-Leah Letson fight on the main card over Calvillo Lee. Very confusing. With respect to Felicia Spencer, a former featherweight title challenger, Leah Letson, a great story. Good to see her back. She hasn't fought in almost, I think, 3 years, maybe over 3 years. But that to me looks like a perfect preliminary fight. And again, I do like Felicia Spencer a lot. I guess the people at ESPN and UFC do as well. But Calvillo and Lee should be on the main card. It's a strange decision. I will stop short of. I see Joseph Boza saying a title shot could be on the line. I don't think the winners. I mean, they could get it. It's certainly not guaranteed. They're both coming off. Is Calvillo coming off a loss?
Calvillo
just got knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, he got demolished by Andrade.
Back-to-back losses, and Andrew Lee just snapped a 3-fight win streak. So it could happen, but I don't think that's would factor into their the intrigue of the fight. Again, if one of them gets a title shot, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not guaranteed.
Oh, wait, we talking about title shot for the featherweight fight or for lightweight?
The flyweight, Calvillo and Lee.
Oh, I thought you meant. You think any chance?
Featherweight fight? Who knows?
Think any chance Letson could get a title shot off a victory?
Sure.
To me, that's the only justification for that fight being so high in the card. Because Felicia Spencer's coming off 2-fight losing streak. She honestly, I didn't. She looked kind of bad against Norma Dumont. I didn't. I want to kind of say Dumont looked good, but I kind of thought Spencer looked bad. So I am surprised, but maybe the UFC is just really sticking to the whole put the heavyweights on the top of the card, and they're lady heavyweights essentially. So
I guess they know there's no featherweight division, right? Do they know this, that there is not a feather? I don't know if they realize this.
The UFC does not realize that. Yeah,
they do not actually have a division of featherweights. Maybe don't put that on the main card. Right. But again, you never want to take spots away from people. But Calvillo and Lee should have. Do the 6-fight main card. I hate them, but why not do the 6-fight? I guess it doesn't matter. It's all on ESPN Plus or UFC Fight Pass in Canada, people. UFC Fight Pass, not TSN.
They're all the same stream, start to finish. And if you're Calvillo and Lee, you don't give a crap because you get to enjoy the rest of the day.
No, I think you absolutely give a crap.
Why?
The fights that are high on the card have more importance. That's just how it is. Like, I mean, you take with the exception of Chandler Gaethje, which was moved lower in the card for logistical reasons, really, because of Trevor Whitman. The card placement matters. It really does. It doesn't matter in sense of sponsorship money, but it matters in sense of importance and significance.
Yeah, I mean, this division hasn't really been showcased as well as it should be, 100%. Yeah, but some fighters prefer just to get it done. Like even Shane Burgos heading into UFC 268, sure, he's happy for the placement, but at the same time, he's like, I like to get out of there early. I like to just fight early and be done with it. So who knows? Maybe they're happy about it so they can fight and have the rest of the day, but it's an early start time card. I don't think it really matters all that much. It's not the first fight of the card. It's up there somewhat.
I get once sponsorship money stopped being aligned with where you're placed on the card, that's what all the fighters said. But back in the day, it mattered where you were in the card. Because higher in the card, you got more money. That's why fighters don't give a crap anymore. Either you're the main event or you don't care because the money is the same. Now, if you're the main event, I think the UFC gives you like an undisclosed, like a little bonus. No one really talks about it, but it seems to be out there. But money-wise, because of sponsorship money, you do want to be top of the card. I feel. But I get why fighters want to go home early. I mean, and most of the time when fighters say that, it's because of nerves, honestly, because you hear it all the time. Like if you're a main event fighter, co-main event fighter, you're sitting in that locker room for like 4 to 5 hours. It's a very unnatural feeling, so you just build up nerves. I think Donald Cerrone's been very public about this, talking about, because he's usually top of the card, so you have way too much time to think about fights. Think about the fight rather than just show up and fight. That's why a lot of fighters like morning fights too.
Yeah, it's a good fight. Calvillo is a good fight.
I love that fight. I love it. I wish I was higher on the card too.
Good on Calvillo coming right back. What's Yair's best path to victory in this fight? Should he mix up his strikes with some wrestling? Max is a beast, so it'll be tough for Yair to win, in my opinion. My thought on this, AK, is, I mean, if the best path to victory for Yair is to just make this a boring fight, grind him up against the fence, try to wear on him, try to wrestle, mix it up as best as possible. But on the flip side, if you're Yair, you want to get this thing done quickly. Because the longer this fight goes, Max Holloway just continues to get better and better as the fight goes on. So it's tough, man. I mean, you can find paths to victory. And this is no disrespect to Yair, but the lines are where they are for a reason. Max is just so good everywhere, and he's on paper better than Yair everywhere. Like maybe he's not as elusive and as tricky of a striker as Max, but Max's technique and just his overall volume and everything he brings to the table, the guy is just so good. And that's why many people consider him to be the best featherweight on the planet. So yeah, this is a tough question, man. I mean, it's a fight and anything can happen, but if you're looking at the X's and O's and Yair's strengths compared to whatever weaknesses you can find in Max Holloway, what would you say is his best path to victory?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think stick and move, use his speed, use his technique. I mean, he's not going to win if this breaks down into like a brawl, I think Yair has shown easily talented he is, but also he's grown up a lot. I think the fight against Jeremy Stevens was really good for his growth. I think the fight against what was the other decision win? Alex Caceres a few years back was really good for his growth. Like the highlight reel KOs are great, but you also got to show can you go that 5 rounds? Can you win on points and things like that? And it's not guaranteed. The zombie fight there was a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. Again, he was on his way to losing that fight if it wasn't for that crazy ass.
It was a competitive fight. People always talk about him losing that fight, but Yair was never beat up in that fight.
But Zombie was going to win. Zombie was
on the cards, but like you wouldn't have gone if he didn't land that elbow at the last second and had the craziest knockout ever. We wouldn't have gone, oh, Yair sucks. He's clearly not he's clearly not an A-level featherweight.
Well, it did raise the question of how does he do in a dog fight? So that's the thing. That to me is the big factor why I'm going with Holloway today is I think Max will be able to draw him into a dogfight, into some sort of brawl scenarios. And I really want to see how Yair handles himself. It's tough. He's been off a long layoff too. That's not going to help him.
That's the big issue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge issue. And because again, once you get smacked in the face like 50 times by someone like Max Holloway, then we're really going to find out who you are. So, Casey, I know you commented before, like the odds are crazy. What are the odds?
The betting odds are wild. Yeah.
Right now, Max Holloway minus 720.
720.
Minus 720.
I was going to say like 300, 400 range. And even that, I was going to say that's a bit much. Because I think a lot of us, if it wasn't for inactivity, would have Yair in our top 5. Now, maybe there is, like even in the top 5, there is a different tier between Holloway, Volkanovski, and maybe Ortega. And then people would not put Yair in that tier. I would. I think he's around that level. So I think minus 300, 400 reasonable. 700.
Dude,
the long layoff has something to do with it too, though.
Yeah,
well, it's a lot of y'all must have forgot with Yair, but even on Tapology, this is crazy. So for Tapology, last night's main event between Cyborg and Sinead Kavanaugh, 97% of people had Cyborg winning, predicting Cyborg was going to win. For Holloway and Rodriguez, which on paper seems like a very competitive, reasonable matchup, 95% are picking Holloway. This is like one of the most lopsided main events, pick-wise, I've ever seen relative to the actual ranking, which I think it's just wild. I don't know if it's just, what have you done for me lately? I think it's a lot of that. Max looked phenomenal his last fight, obviously. We haven't seen Yair, big layoff, got sick from COVID. Just in general, we haven't heard from him. So I get it. Also, weird.
Well, I'll throw up a poll in the comments. Are you two commenters the most intelligent of MMA fans? So please, guys, vote. I'm just asking who's going to win the main event, guys. Who's going to win the main event?
All right.
Throw it up there.
Oh, but Yair's best path to victory. So, Mike, pretty much what you said is pretty much anyone's best path to victory with Max. It sounds like it wasn't necessarily Yair. Just don't let Max hit you and hold him. That's what. Yeah. And that's
first Volkanovski fight. Very tactical. Not a fight that people look back on fondly, but a much more clear win for Volkanovski than their second fight.
And leg kicks. Leg kicks will be helpful too. Volkanovski used leg kicks very well in those two fights, especially the first fight.
Honestly, Yair being out so long, there's so much mystery we just don't know. And I hate this about MMA, UFC in particular. Like, I wish Yair had a tune-up fight, even like outside the organization, But that's just not the way. That's just not how the reality is. And you have 2 years, and you're facing what I believe is the best featherweight in the world. So it's a tough. It could be a very tough night for Yair. But dude, if he wins, that is gonna be chaos in the rankings.
Are you the two Holloway holdouts in the rankings?
Get him in there.
Are you the two Holloway holdouts? Oh no, it's you and Sean. Casey. I'm outing people. I'm just outing people. The MMA fighting.
No, I have Holloway as the best featherweight in the world. Yeah.
Who's the other one? Sean, I think, right?
Maybe.
Not Mike. Mike, it's not you.
No, I got Volkanovski.
No. Okay.
But I'm also on the side that thought Volkanovski won both fights. Like I understand the trepidation on the second fight. Like it was, but based on the current scoring of MMA, Volkanovski won that fight. But it was close. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm not going to say
very close.
That you're an idiot if you say Holloway won. Holloway looked great in that fight, but Volkanovski, the way he made adjustments, and I thought he won the last 3 rounds. So, but I'm ready for the third one. But Holloway's got to win today first.
What is? We'll talk about it afterward. A lot of what ifs. So, but we'll be answering those what ifs in a few hours, hopefully.
Is Baez the prospect of 2021? Who is the prospect of the year? That's a good question. I don't know if he's the prospect of 2021. I think he was maybe the prospect of 2020. He's had enough fights at this point that he's probably...
He's 29 years old. I mean, I think he's actually in his athletic prime or hitting it. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's prospect level yet. I mean, anymore. I think now he's in it. I guess.
Whatever the step above prospect, like between prospect and contender, he's like right in that middle ground. Adrian Yanez, I think, is one of those guys. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's the best prospect.
We're talking about welterweight,
in general.
Oh, in general.
Just the best prospect of the year.
Oh, I think like Aaron Blanchfield, Miranda Maverick. I mean, there's a lot of prospects out there. I mean, a whole bunch.
I mean, Yanez is just going out there finishing everybody. That guy, I would say, yeah, I'd say he's one. I mean, he's one of those guys.
Who's Aaron Pico fought last night. Looked amazing. He's still only 25. So I mean, there's a lot of prospects. I don't. Yeah.
It really depends how you define prospect. I mean, I think for us, we're pretty UFC centric sometimes. So we would say, people who like broke out in the UFC. Again, two years in a row, prospect of the year.
He was back-to-back prospect of the years.
Unbelievable.
That's how good he is.
Oh my gosh, her name's escaping me now. Scott McCrate, our longtime fan, is going to kill me. I can't remember her name. The French lady in the flyweight division.
Moreau.
Moreau. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I think he's not
Casey
watching.
O'Neill. Casey O'Neill's up there. I mean, there's
a lot of women's flyweights. Yeah, I think Gregory Rodriguez might be like my spoiler for a month in advance. He might be my breakout fighter of the year. Terrence McKinney, big breakout. Again, we got to shout him out, otherwise we know he'll get mad on Twitter.
I think you have to be 25 or younger to be a prospect.
But it depends when you started, right? What if you were like 27 when you started and you've only been fighting for 2 years? You're still a prospect.
You just started late.
Then you're just old. You're just old now.
I'm 43, and am I a prospect?
You're a prospect. You're one of the hottest prospects. To Carol Man 91, hottest prospect of 2022. Casey Leydon. Just watch out for that.
Watch out.
Just watch out.
All right. Yeah, let's actually talk about the actual fight.
It's a good fight. Do you guys think it is likely Chaos Williams versus Miguel Baez goes to decision? Most people think someone's going to get knocked out. I think it'll be more of a point fight. AK, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, look, it definitely can happen when you match up two guys who are so dangerous on the feet. Baez a little bit better at finishing late. Of course, Chaos Williams, a bit of a quick striker, first round finishes. So I do think it'll go longer than people expect. Not a first round finish, but I like Baez a little more in the matchup. I think it will be a tactical first round. Baez will kind of break him down with some Muay Thai, some leg kicks, and get a finish in the second. But you could easily see Chaos get that finish in the first. I don't think a decision is unreasonable. Like I said, both guys are so dangerous. You could see a somewhat cautious first 10 minutes with some not boring, but like kind of more tactical with some big bursts of action, and neither guy quite connecting on that home run swing, and then ending up exciting third, and then we go to the judges. But I think it's going to end in a finish, but I don't think decision is out of the question at all.
We just we're a week away from Gaethje versus Michael Chandler going to decision, a fight that nobody said was like no way this fight's going to decision, and it went to decision. So absolutely, this fight can go to decision, and actually, I probably think it will. But I'm leaning heavy toward Baez though in this fight.
Yeah, I'm going Baez by decision. I think it's a good fight. Baez, it just depends. Like, can Chaos Williams keep up that same energy for 15 minutes? I thought he looked great in the Semmelsberger fight. He went 15 minutes. It's been the Pajeda fight, he went the distance, but he's gone in the last two fights. So he's shown that he can, but he's going to have to put up a frenetic pace against a guy like Baez. And we saw, as good as that fight between Baez and Ponzinibbio was, we saw Baez kind of fade a little bit down the stretch, and that's when Ponzinibbio started to take over. So if Chaos Williams can keep that energy and come out strong in that third round, things could get interesting. But I think Baez is just the more technical guy. Just the things I hear about him from some of his teammates, just an incredible teammate. And like Casey said, and Chaos is in this equation as well, especially moving over to Jackson Wink. These are two guys that are very good and getting better and approaching their athletic primes. So I love the matchup. A lot of people question it. They're like, "Oh, why are you putting these two guys in there now? They're both in the come up." I think it's a perfect fight. This is, with this division and the talent that's in it, I got no problem with this matchup. I like it. I think Baez is just a little bit better overall than Chaos is across the board as an overall mixed martial artist. So I'll lean Baez, but if Chaos Williams wins, it would not surprise me.
I think it's also interesting, going back to the last question, the idea of we call Baez a prospect. Chaos Williams is younger than Baez. I just think that's interesting that we don't call, and even though, has Baez lost in the UFC yet?
He just lost.
Yeah, he just lost to Ponzinibbio.
Oh, I'm sorry. Duh. Okay. And then Chaos lost a competitive decision against Michel Pereira, and where he controlled the craziness but still didn't win the fight. But No, this is actually the more I think about this, actually the more I like it. I like this fight. I am bummed that two prospects are fighting. I don't like prospect versus prospect fights in general, but I think this is a fine fight. I'm excited about it. It's a proper fight night main carder.
I gotta look at the lines on this one. Very pretty close. Baez a minus 150, Chaos plus 130.
That's about right.
Perfectly.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yep.
Rolo Tomasi. DC just released a new video on his channel where he said that Max told him he's planning to up his record for the most strikes thrown to 1,000 in this fight. Do you think it's possible? I mean, if anybody could throw 1,000 strikes in a fight, it's Max Holloway, right? Like, if you asked me that about maybe any other fighter, I'd question a little bit. But Max Holloway saying he's going to throw 1,000 strikes in a fight, I don't think he will. And I think this is why Yair needs to slow him down as much as possible, like anybody else who fights him. But if anybody could throw 1,000, it's Max Holloway.
You need the proper dance partner to throw 1,000 strikes in a fight. I don't think Yair is that dance partner. I think Yair actually, I saw some people saying Yair has poor fight IQ. I don't think that actually. I think Yair's will use lots of teeps and range management and leg kicks to prevent Max Holloway from getting to that 1,000 strikes thrown. Now, but throwing 1,000 strikes isn't as difficult as landing 1,000 strikes, mind you. So let's see if he can actually land. You can just throw.
I don't think he's going to land 1,000 strikes. That'd be ridiculous. He's going to throw like 1,500 strikes.
So he attempted almost 750 strikes in the Cater fight. Landed, I think, 450 something. Almost 450. That's insane. So can he attempt 250 more strikes? Keep in mind, people, we are talking attempts. An attempt can be a pawing jab. Like if he throws like a pawing jab, like
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
He sync-tuples up on his jab. Okay, he just threw 5 strikes. But he could come close. But I like you guys were saying, I don't think Yair's the right dance partner for it. I think Max. I think he respects. Not that he didn't respect Calvin Kattar, but I think he respects kind of what Yair can do offensively, and that's a recipe for getting knocked out. If he just goes in there in his mind thinking, like, I'm gotta make sure I hit that 1,000 strike mark. He's way too smart for that. So I'd be very surprised if he beat the Kattar record.
He's just having fun. Yeah.
Think about the numbers you just threw out there, AK, from the Calvin Kattar fight. Now you're asking Max Holloway to add 50 strikes per round to that number. That is just ridiculous. I mean, that's insane. Mystic Black MA, does Max give the best responses when it comes to interviews because he doesn't set himself up for failure with predictions? Also, Mike Hack would love to interview you. Sure, Mystic Black. Hit me up. We'll make it happen. I think Max, like, let me ask you this, Casey. We've been around the sport. We've seen a million interviews. We've seen so many different personalities. Max Holloway is the antithesis of a professional athlete when he answers questions. He is like, if you ever seen the movie Bull Durham, when Kevin Costner is teaching a young Tim Robbins how to answer questions in the media, Max Holloway is like the definition of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like Max, and then occasionally Max will come up with some brilliance. Like the Elevator Divas line is tremendous. Like he'll come up with some gems, but for the most part, like he answers questions just very professionally. He doesn't put himself out there too much. He doesn't overextend himself when it comes to predictions and things he's going to talk about, like how the fight will play out. He's just a very normal guy. Like he's just, I'm fighting today, but like this is not who I am completely. Do you agree with that? Like is Max Holloway just like the definition of professional athlete, interviewer, media guy?
In the good way, not in the boring, utility baseball shortstop kind of way, just like, hey, it's one game at a time, he's not like that. But Max is also, he'll kind of give you generic answers, but he'll say it in such a Max Holloway fashion. It's kind of fun even hearing generic answers. And the whole, why he doesn't do predictions and stuff, that's really just a personal thing for every fighter. A lot of fighters are like that. We all want Conor. He's gonna try to break it down per second. And once he gets it right one time, we just give him a nickname, even though he misses, the other 20 times. But no, it's just the setup for failure thing. I don't agree with that, but I love Max's. He's a great interview, and he says a lot and says nothing at the same time, which sounds like a negative thing, but actually is good. Yeah, he definitely comes across as authentic.
which is part of the reason why he's so popular, not just his incredible fights. And I think it's the reason a lot of people are sticking with him is they feel like they know Max at this point. Maybe they don't have that familiarity with Volkanovski for whatever reason. Another guy who I actually think is very genuine in his interviews. But Max, yeah, again, like I said, whether he's giving you a money quote or not, or whether he's repeating, it is what it is, or at the end of the day, whatever. At the end of the day, whatever. But he does seem very genuine. I think people like that. That's one route to building a fan base in MMA is you can either be that over the top boisterous like trash talking McGregor guy, or you can keep winning fights. And as you go along, people kind of naturally gravitate towards you. And I think that's where Max is. So yeah, I think he's a great interview. Again, not someone you're always going to get a juicy soundbite from, but certainly someone worth listening to if you have time to like sit down and listen to a whole interview. He's more of that kind.
I thought Yair's interview with Ariel Helwani was pretty on fire too. Because I like when Ariel said, well, Max thinks he's the best boxer in MMA, and Holloway's like, cool. Too bad we're not boxing. He was like, okay. I like you're just very straightforward. And it's like, we're just two fucking warriors, but to fuck each other up. I was like, that's what I want to hear. I like that. I'm not talking crap. Just like, hey man, like we're gonna go out there and we're gonna hit each other really hard.
It really is. And just to talk about Max Holloway in this fight in particular, it really is amazing, like how one performance can change everything. Because you remember all the questions everybody had heading into that Kattar fight. He's not over the Volkanovski losses. He's doing all these interviews, still talking about it. Like he's not over it. Still feels like he won. He hasn't moved past it yet. Like, is he even ready to fight Calvin Kattar? Like there are all these questions about Max Holloway. Like maybe he's not the same guy. And then he goes out and delivers one of the greatest performances of all time. And now he's a minus 720 favorite against a really dangerous guy. It's just amazing how quickly tides can turn in this sport. It's really unbelievable.
Minus 720.
It's wild. A main event between two guys who should be fighting ranking wise. It's not like a mismatch or a short notice fight. This is one of the crazier betting lines I've seen. But hey, man, that's how people want to put their money there. That's on them. I mean, I'm picking Max, but I just don't see that giant gap and that big a gap. I mean, they're acting like Max Holloway is fighting. I don't know. Name the worst featherweight. I don't know. It's like.
Do we know what the opening line was?
I will check right now.
All right, I'm gonna move on. Next question.
Minus 320 was the opening line.
So it's just like everyone betting on Holloway, just like all the money's coming on Holloway.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
It got as high as minus 760.
Wow.
The highest I've seen. FanDuel has Max Holloway at minus 820. So yeah, there you go.
Those are cyborg numbers. Those are wild numbers. Those are a
lot of money coming in.
Those are Valentina numbers. Shevchenko and title.
Those are Valentina numbers.
Yeah.
Cyborg is I think she closed is like a minus 3,500.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Cyborg. Yeah. Valentina. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Listen, this is what happens when you have two people in the illustrious MMA fighting rankings putting a first place vote next to his name. It's very confusing. You're confusing the public. You affected this line.
David saying Max looked terrible at the weigh-ins. Curious how long he can keep coming to 45. He always looks pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's like Aldo. He's
had issues in the past. Yeah,
same with Aldo. Always looked bad on the scale. As soon as they got in the cage, looked insane.
Yeah. Don't judge too much by that. We'll see how he looks tonight. We talked about this on the previous show, but like I think me and Mike agree that we would love Holloway to fight at both 45 and 55 against maybe. This gentleman.
Oh, Mike.
Justin Gaethje deserves it. Yes. Justin Gaethje deserves a title shot after winning just one fight. Because
what is it?
Who did he lose to? He lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov, which, by the way, if you look at the history of Khabib Nurmagomedov, everybody lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov, including Dustin Poirier, who's about to fight for the title. Yes, he bounced back. He beat Dan Hooker. He beat Conor McGregor twice. But yeah, Gaethje deserves a title shot. You could argue he deserved a title shot before they made Oliveira versus Chandler. Definitely. Like if you made Gaethje versus Poirier, which probably was the original plan from the UFC, the two last guys who lost to Khabib, no one would have any problem with that whatsoever. But now, like the way things have played out, and we got these fights coming up, like Gaethje deserves a title shot. He's just there. Lightweight is just it's a scramble fest right now. And looking at this division right now, sure, you have guys coming up. You got Makhachev knocking on the door. You got Beneil Dariush, who's right there, who deserves a title shot too. But at this point, everything just lines up for Gaethje. Business sense wise, just resume wise, stylistic wise. Like Gaethje against anybody is interesting, and people care. And after UFC 268, Gaethje already had a super high stock. His stock has never been higher. Never. So, yeah, you got to do it now. You strike while the iron's hot, and the UFC does that all the time.
You cannot count Khabib losses as breaking up the streak or whatever your win streak. That's you get an asterisk. So take out the Khabib loss, then knock out James Vick, knock out Edson Barboza, knock out Donald Cerrone, knock out Tony Ferguson, and fight of the year dominance over Michael Chandler. Yeah, of course he deserves a title shot. Of course he deserves a title shot.
Let me look at the
one fight streak thing. That's just ridiculous.
And by the way, I know Khabib finished him in the second round. 2 judges at UFC 254 scored the first round of that Khabib Gaethje fight for Justin Gaethje. So heading into the second round, Justin Gaethje was ahead on the scorecard.
Really?
I mean, he ended up getting finished. Yeah, 2 judges gave Gaethje the first round.
That's weird. So I remember that first round. All right, whatever. Didn't matter.
I think because I don't have an issue with it. I think he didn't get taken down or something, right? So they were like,
he got taken down.
He got taken down. So why did they give him? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Khabib didn't do much damage to him.
I mean, Khabib, like it was mostly a standing fight. Like Khabib shot a couple times, didn't finish. Khabib landed shots, but Gaethje.
I was gonna say he won. I thought he won the standing, Khabib. That's why. But I think just because he didn't dominate I think because the judges expected him to dominate on the ground in the first round, and he didn't. They're like, oh well, Gaethje must have won. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think so.
Go back and watch that first round. It's way closer than you think, but still, it didn't matter because Khabib just.
Sure.
It was way closer than I think, but at the same,
the whole finishing sequence in hindsight is insane.
But think of how Gaethje normally fights when he's in the Michael Chandler fight, that first round. Gaethje couldn't fight like that against Khabib, even though a lot of the first round was standing, because Gaethje still had to fight Khabib's style, Khabib's pace, even though the fight was standing. That's how good Khabib was. He can, even when it's in Gaethje's kind of where he wants to fight, he still has to respect Khabib so much. He still just can't, fight like Justin Gaethje. But are we ready? Are we done?
No, we are 12 minutes away. The official countdown is up, guys. We have over 10 minutes left.
Go.
Please, guys, they're not in a rush today. It's only an 11 fight card. It's all on ESPN Plus. Okay. They have literally no broadcasting restrictions. So they are taking at least 15 minutes till both men are in the cage. So stick around, guys. I'll close the poll now anyway. 83% Max Holloway. 83%.
All right. 83%. Broadcast team, Brandon Fitzgerald, Paul Felder, Michael Bisping. So that should be fun. I like that combination. I believe Joe Martinez will be the man on the mic inside the octagon.
Since we're talking title shots.
Uh-oh. Does Leon Edwards deserve a title? Of course Leon Edwards deserves a title shot. He's deserved a title shot for like the last 2 years. Maybe longer. But will he get it? That's the question. Deserves is not the question. Will he is the question. AK, right now, especially with how everything is unfolded, do you feel strongly, would you bet money that Leon Edwards will fight for the title in his next fight? I mean, will he fight Kamaru Usman in his next fight for the undisputed welterweight title? That's how.
God. Do I think it will happen?
Would you bet, if I gave you $20, I said you had to bet on this. Would you put the $20 on Edwards
against
fighting Usman next?
No, I'd bet against it. He should. To answer the question, he does deserve it. But to answer your question, Mike, no. The UFC will find a way not to give him the title shot. Khamzat sneaking in there. I don't care. I did say it banked on Usman calling him out, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I think the UFC is trying to find a way to put in Khamzat over Edwards. They will not give they will be dragged kicking and screaming into an Edwards title shot. He like I said, he deserved it. He's deserved for a long time. It's absurd that this is even a question, but it is a question that needs to be asked. So thank you for that question, sir, for sending that in. But if I were to bet money, no, man, I'm not betting on anything guaranteed for Leon Edwards in the UFC.
Casey?
Hot take. If I am Kamaru Usman, I do not fight Leon Edwards. I fight Khamzat. You fight him now before Khamzat reaches his peak. You fight him now. You go the Floyd Mayweather route when Floyd fought Canelo. You fight him before his prime. You do that. That's what you do. If I'm Usman, I fight him now, because you know what? They're just, you guys hear our numbers, our clicks behind the scenes. When he's not Conor level yet, but when Khamzat just, not sound crude, if Khamzat just tweets that he farted, we run a story. It's like, oh my God, it's like, it's that Khamzat is getting to that point where he just sneezes, and it's like, oh hey, people want to know, and I don't know how, I still don't understand what makes that fighter kind of go over so big with fans, but Khamzat has done it. And I think right now, if I'm Usman, that's the fight I go for over Leon Edwards. That's yeah. But Leon Edwards absolutely does deserve a title shot. Absolutely deserves a title shot.
So for those who listen to on to the next one, if you have, you've already heard this nugget, and I'm standing by it even more so. Leon Edwards' next fight will be for a title. It just won't be against Kamaru Usman. I don't think Usman's going to fight for a while. I don't think he fights till like the second half, maybe the late third, fourth quarter of 2022. Why? Because there's nothing that excites him right now. He's in that position where he's not like money fight guy, but if he's not there, he's knocking on the door. He needs something that gets him up. He's already talking about the Canelo thing, which is just so ridiculous. But still, he needs, like, at this point, like, you've lapped everybody. Like maybe Diaz, like, it's silliness. But like if the UFC offered him Nate Diaz for like April, he would probably take that fight because it would do really good numbers. A fight with Leon Edwards right now does not do good numbers. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. The Masvidal fight drew a lot of interest because of the three-piece in Minnesota. That was the most interesting fight Leon could be in. Leon fought Nate Diaz in his last fight, and his stock didn't grow from that. And he dominated the majority of that fight, except for the last couple minutes where he almost got finished, and that's all anybody talked about was Nate Diaz almost finished.
He lost by Stockton Street rules, Mike. Didn't you know? He lost by Stockton Street rules. What are you talking about? That's why Stockton go up.
So what I think will end up happening, I think Usman's going to take some time off because he was very active this year. He fought 3 times in 2021, which for a champion, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot for a champion in this day and age to fight 3 times and defend your title 3 times. And they're all the Burns fight was a tough one. The Covington fight was a grueling, tough fight. And then he had the Masvidal fight, which, it ended the way that it did. So,
but they're still tough. The camps are still incredibly tough. It's not the fight itself. You got the training camps.
Oh yeah.
So the 50, that's why even the fight may be easy. It's the training camp that's gonna break your body down. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to spend time with his daughter and not lose that time. Like, he had some pretty powerful quotes in the post fight. I think Usman's going to take an extended period of time off. In the meantime, you know how the UFC just loves to throw out interim title fights to fill spots. It would not shock me in the least to have Leon Edwards fight Vicente Luque. Mm-hmm. I think Covington and Masvidal is a done deal, so Covington's out of that picture. Maybe Khamzat. Maybe do Leon versus Khamzat for the interim title.
We're back there again. For the interim title. Okay.
Yeah, for an interim title.
I can see.
And then if whatever happens to that fight, maybe Usman's like, all right, cool. Like, I'm ready. Especially if Chimaev wins. Like, if Khamzat Chimaev beats Leon Edwards in an interim title fight, you're telling me that Kamaru Usman at that point is going to be like, let's go. This fight gets me going.
Well, he doesn't really
this
have a choice,
is a big money fight.
I mean,
right.
Sure he does.
Right, but still. Sure, he could sit out and just be like, nah, I'm just going to wait for Canelo. But at that point, like, he's in.
Well, that's a whole other thing.
If Leon beats Khamzat, then Leon's stock grows tremendously. And now and then Leon gets the rub. And then you could do Leon versus Usman. Makes more sense. I think that's the direction they go. I think we're going to see Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev for the interim title. Winner gets Usman later on 2022. There you go.
By the way, I just want to add on to that. I tweeted something about this earlier this week, but it's the fact that we have to discuss it is part of it's because the UFC has done such a poor job of building up Leon Edwards as a contender. When you have a guy on like a 9-fight win streak, it should be so easy. Fans should be demanding. And by the way, I will say, obviously, Leon does not have this super like crowd-pleasing style. I do understand that. I'm not saying he's like racked up all this highlight.
That has nothing to do with popularity.
It does. In his case, it does. In his case,
that's why Vicente Luque is not the most exciting fighter. That's why.
No. You can be an exciting fighter and not be popular. It's hard to not be an exciting fighter and be popular. The inverse is very difficult. You can be a super exciting fighter and somehow not latch on to the fans. That happens. It's very difficult to be a quote unquote boring or a tactical fighter and somehow win people over.
Take away Colby's shtick, he's a boring fighter. Take away Colby's shtick, he's a boring fighter.
He's way more active, though. He's way more active offensively than Leon Edwards is, though. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think that's an apples and apples comparison. So but I'm just saying, not comparing to anyone else. I'm saying the Leon Edwards cases. I get it. He doesn't have the most crowd pleasing style. That's fine. But you're the UFC. I'm not saying you can make stars out of anyone. But you're a promotion. Do your job. Promote this guy. He's on a massive win streak. He has notable names. If fans are not demanding, at least a large chunk of fans are not demanding he get this title shot, that's partially on him. That's also partially on you, UFC President Dana White. That's on you guys.
Of course, it's on the promoter.
That's
literally their job. To promote.
Yeah, it's on Leon too. It's on Leon too.
But for guys who can't, it's not on Leon.
It is.
Leon is not the promoter. If it's like the Floyd Mayweather stuff, where the boxer is the promoter, it's like no. And dude, PT Carroll had a great, I think his podcast with Ariel. That clip, that is like PT laid it out great. Just Leon Edwards has an incredible backstory. UFC just doesn't want to tell it, or American fans just don't care about it because he's British and just doesn't. I mean, I don't know. It's like because he's not. I don't know. He's not Darren Till. I don't know. We can only handle one British fighter, or is not British. He's not British. Yeah, whatever. UK. I don't know.
British.
British. Yeah. I don't know. I'm from America. That's not. Leon Edwards has done his part. It's all in the UFC. It's all. When is the last time Dana White got on a mic and go, dude, this kid can't fight?
If anything, he shot it down. He shot it down on
multiple
occasions. People asking him, is Leon next? Is Leon next? People look up, just look up Dana White, Leon Edwards, Google it. You'll find nothing but quotes of him going respectful at sometimes, but for the most part, no, he's not next. Well, we're looking at I get it. They never want to commit to these things. But man, you got to push him a little bit. But I will say, he has done everything he can in the cage. There's no question. Leon deserves a title shot. There's no argument. If you're arguing against it, I think that's silly. But I will say why the UFC isn't doing it is, again, is because it's partially their own faults. And he is someone who needs a little bit of help to promote himself, to promote his shtick. And that's not the case with all guys. Some people have a natural it factor. He doesn't have it, and that's nothing you can do about that. That's some people have it, some people don't. But the UFC, it is the UFC's job, though, to make him marketable, and they've really failed him.
Leon Edwards is no different from Usman before he had the belt.
Yes,
no different.
And they did a terrible job promoting him as well when he was coming up.
And this is why people just. Horrible. I mean, still Usman isn't really. He's not really the A side on his title fights. Still, even though he's a couple fights away from being the greatest ever, he's still the B side on his freaking title fights for the most part.
Yeah. He's getting there now.
He's getting there now. But think out how he had to get to GSP levels before we go, okay, maybe Usman is, maybe he can't move the needle. It's just, does Leon Edwards, this is what PT says, does Leon Edwards does he need to lower himself? Does he need to lower his own standards? Does he need to throw a boomerang at Usman? Does he need to do something stupid? Is that what the fans want? Do we just want fans do you want Leon Edwards just yelling "You're dead, Usman! You're dead! Next time I see you, you're dead!"
Let me put it this way, Casey. Let me put it this way. Leon Edwards has I don't think he has to do that. He has taken the Leon Edwards act as far as it can go. It's the UFC's job to take him the rest of the way.
I agree,
and they have not done that. But so, like I said, I don't want to just blame the UFC, but we have reached the point where it now is on the UFC to take what they have with him and realize he's not going to do what you just said. He's not going to be a McGregor. He's not going to be a Colby Covington. And that's fine. Play to his strengths. Not everyone fits into that mold, and they shouldn't have to. So I don't know. Well, hopefully they figure it out. And fingers crossed, Leon Edwards get this friggin' title shot. But I think Mike's interim scenario is also incredibly likely. So that's tough.
Yeah, if Usman decides to take a 9-month break, which I believe he will do, he may take a quick fight right after this, but eventually he will take a 9 to 10 month break. I agree. I don't know if he'll do it right now or later, but if he does do it now, I do love the idea of Edwards Hamzat interim title. That does sound pretty awesome.
Because, I mean, and think about it this way. I mean, just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, the UFC has put him in positions to get over. Hamzat, Nate Diaz. Like, if he went out there and just bolted Nate and lived up to the line, to the line that was stacked on him, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Leon would have fought Usman this past Saturday at UFC 268. There's a very good chance. If he just went out there and bolted Nate and stopped him, he probably, I mean, the chances would have been much greater. That and the Masvidal fight, which should have happened 2 or 3 years ago, a long time ago, right after the 3-piece episode. That's when the Masvidal fight should have happened. That would have been an opportunity for Leon to get over. You go out there and you stop Jorge Masvidal, even though Masvidal has lost his last couple of fights. Very good chance. That's like what you need. That's the promotional package. He just went out there and he beat Nate, and then he just went out there and steamrolled Jorge Masvidal.
He beat Nate,
right? But he didn't smash Nate.
He won 4 rounds. He won 24 minutes of a 25-minute fight.
But it wasn't. Right. But it wasn't memorable for a lot of people. It wasn't memorable. Exactly. That's a fact.
But why wasn't it memorable? Because Dana White didn't get on the mic and go, "What? That was an incredible 20." He dominated 24 minutes of that fight. 24 minutes. That is domination. He won 98% of that fight. That is domination. He did dominate the fight. We just don't want to say he dominated it because
that is his job. But Casey, we can't deny that he does not have a style it's not a super crowd-pleasing style. That's a fact. And like I said, I like Leon.
Is this New Japan? Are we talking pro wrestling? Are we talking?
Yes.
Is that New Japan? Are we talking pro wrestling or are we talking about sport?
Yes. We're talking about MMA. The most circusy of
I agree. I totally agree. This is more pro wrestling than pro wrestling. As far as
it's not fair.
We talk about entertainment more in MMA than I do in pro wrestling. I swear. We talk about, is this guy entertaining? Is he drop good promos? I say that more in MMA, in the real fight, than I actually do in the fake fighting world. I think that's incredible, and it sucks, but that's the reality.
We know Leon Edwards dominated that fight. They're not selling it to us.
No, yeah.
They're not selling it to us. We watch all the MMA anyway. There's another audience people that don't know he dominated that fight. Like you said, that Dana White has to emphasize, and they don't know anything about Leon Edwards, and they just heard, Nate Diaz almost knocked him out. That's all they know.
Look at Bellator. They do things the meritocratic way, for the most part. Guys who are in line that have earned title shots typically get title shots. However, no one is watching. Not a lot of people are watching Bellator, and it's a shame. And I could go on a 30-minute rant about like what Bellator needs to do to improve their product after watching that card last night, which was a fine card. It just took forever. But I mean, it's just very, I don't know. It's just very by the book. They don't take a lot of chances anymore. Like they used to. They used to take tons of chances with some of the crazy fights they would put together.
But then they got accused of circus fights. They were the circus fight league. You know, I think
people watch them. People watch them.
I think they get screwed either way. To be honest, I absolutely agree with you, Mike. But I think when they go to the circus fight thing, then even us media go like, "This isn't a real fight. This is blah blah blah," and then they put two high level wrestlers in there, or whatever, and then we're like, boring. We need some fun. I mean, it's tough to be number 2 in this game.
That's why it is so important. Just before we wrap up here, it is so important that and I don't think it's going to happen unless Bellator just goes bananas. They 1,000% have to sign Kayla Harrison. They have to find a way. If PFL says like, you can have her, but it's going to cost you 8 figures to buy her out of this contract, you get that pen and that checkbook ready and you write that check and you do it quickly. And Scott Coker saying we're gonna aggressively go after Kayla Harrison starting Monday. Why wait until Monday? You should have started right after Chris Cyborg got her hand raised. Get in there and sign her. Find a way to get it done. Because if you don't, it's going to be a rough 2022 unless you make some serious changes or some stars emerge. You have to find a way to get Kayla over to fight Chris Cyborg. You got to get some buzz. I like Gegard Mousasi. I like him a lot. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. Like as a fan, before I got into the media industry, Gegard Mousasi is the man. I like Austin Vanderford. He's a great guy. Tremendous interview. Just a cool dude. Who is going to like spend their Friday night watching Gegard fight Austin Vanderford? Like some people will. Like MMA, we're going to be watching, but the casual fan, are they going to go out of their way to watch Mousasi Vanderford because Vanderford is undefeated and he earned a title shot? No. No, we got to take some chances. We got to think outside the box. What the UFC does and what Bellator does, they're on two completely different sides. We need to find a middle ground. That's probably like the best MMA promotion you can have. But this is where we're at. You want meritocracy? Bellator gives you meritocracy. You want crazy and chaotic and business and ratings and pay-per-view buys? You go to the UFC.
Oh, Fight Circus.
I thought you were going to be KFC. Oh, and Fight
Full
Circus.
Metal Dojo. Fight Circus.
That's a whole other ball game.
Sorry,
card.
Joe Martinez. We've interrupted. We have impinged on the wonderful Joe Martinez's time. So the first fight is going down.
Okay, we're out of here. AK, thank you.
That was lively. That was lively.
Yes.
Yeah.
See,
Leon,
we just sold.
Give him the fight.
ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Da-Un Jung, which should be very fun. Kicks things off. So enjoy. Jose Young's, by the way, inside the Apex. So follow along. We'll post some post-fight interviews. We'll have the post-fight press conference live after the event's over. And then we'll have a post-fight show as well. So the day is just getting started. For AK, for Casey, I am Mike Heck. Enjoy the fights, everybody.
UFC Fight Pass in Canada, guys. UFC Fight Pass, the whole show.
I'm trying to touch your ear, Mike. I'm trying to touch your ear.
Where's Canada?
Canada.
Welcome.
You and your healthcare. Oh, we have healthcare.